Tonight on the Black Channel, sitting back and waiting for people to do the right thing has not been the way to get things done. We have our own ideas about pushing things into happening. The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, the everlasting superfortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel. And I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, we want to review a few things. Because I want to take this as an opportunity to help put these things in their proper focus, to let people know that we are monitoring as things go along, and there's a lot that's happened out there over the course of the last 12, 13 years since the murder of Trayvon Martin, which really kicked off this modern era. The killing of Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, those two events really kicked off this modern era of national, international monitoring and activism. And another one of those was the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. And what we remember is that folks were going around telling you what couldn't happen. Remember, they told you for years, all through the murder of Mike Brown, the murder of Eric Garner, oh, you can't get police put in jail because, oh, it's just so difficult. And what you realized was that was just the white supremacist corporate media telling you what they wanted to believe. They want you to believe that you can't do anything about the police. They're the ones who are promoting that. That was not honest journalism. This was them trying to tell us, well, it's too big and bad and you just need to accept the way things are. Well, we didn't accept the way things are. We've kept pushing, and you've seen as things have changed, and now you move on to the next logical step, which is that now it is not simply enough that you do something about the police. Not at all. Next logical step there is you have to be able to do something about the prosecutors who either ignore their duties or collaborate to violate your rights. You have to do something about them as well. The Ahmaud Arbery case is a perfect example of that in no less than Georgia, and it's so great here to see that now the prosecutor becomes the prosecuted. Damn! Great case that's shaping up there, by the way, as a matter of fact. So what I want to do here, that's Jackie Johnson. And what happened there is when you get into why is she being charged? Let me go ahead and show you on your screens here from the Associated Press. Go ahead and show that to you here on your screens so you can see that. Who is Jackie Johnson and why was she charged? At the time Arbery was killed, Johnson had served for a decade as district attorney for Southeast Georgia's Brunswick Judicial Circuit. Greg McMichael worked in her office as an investigator before retiring in 2019. So you can see how long she had been out here raising havoc, victimizing people. She had a long stretch to do that. Because of that connection, Johnson has said she immediately recused her office from handling the case. A neighboring district attorney, George Barnhill, became the first of 3 outside prosecutors appointed to take over. He soon concluded the McMichaels were legally attempting to detain Arbery and that the shooting was justified. So there goes Georgia justice. Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr ordered an investigation of the 2 prosecutors in May 2020, soon after the McMichaels were arrested. Carr said he appointed Barnhill based on Johnson's recommendation. Oh, go. So she told him, I'm recusing myself because I already know that there's a conflict of interest. But here's another prosecutor. Give it to him. Oh, he'll be impartial. Trust me. So the woman who was already doing that, they're letting you know the Good Old Boys network has some good old girls in it too. So it said the Carr said that he appointed Barnhill based on Johnson's recommendation, but wasn't told Barnhill already had advised police that Arbery's killing wasn't a crime. So in other words, she told him, well, talk to this other guy over here, and both of us have already put our heads together. We've already started rigging it. When voters ousted Johnson in the November 2020 election, she largely blamed the controversy surrounding Arbery's killing and insisted she had done nothing wrong. The former prosecutor became a criminal defendant when a grand jury indicted Johnson on September 2nd, 2021. Carr announced his office was prosecuting the case. What crimes do prosecutors say Johnson committed? Johnson is charged with violating her oath of office, a felony, punishable by 1 to 5 years in prison, by using her position to show, quote, favor and affection to Greg McMichael. The indictment also charges her with a misdemeanor, hindering police investigating the shooting by, quote, directing that Travis McMichael should not be placed under arrest. Folks, it isn't that the laws are not on the books. It isn't that the laws are not already on the books. The laws are already there. Which is what we have been saying forever. The laws are already there. You don't actually need, quote, new laws. The laws are already there. You're in a system of white supremacy that says whiteness is the law. Whatever we say the law is today, that's the law. What is on the books isn't the law. Whatever we're white and we say so, and whatever we say today, that's what the law is. Because the law is no stronger than the individual who is authorized to enforce it. The indictment also charges her with a misdemeanor. Johnson told the Associated Press in 2020 that no one in her office told police not to make arrests. Her lead defense attorney, Brian Steele, oh boy, is that Young Thug's lawyer? Oh man. Okay. Brian Steele said during a December pretrial hearing that Johnson was focused on seeking an unrelated high-profile indictment and, quote, didn't know what was going on with Ahmaud Arbery's case. Prosecutors haven't disclosed much of their trial evidence, but said in court records that 16 calls were made between cell phone numbers for Greg McMichael and Johnson in the weeks following the shooting. How will a jury be picked? Jury duty notices were mailed to 500 county residents, which is more than normal to facilitate selecting an impartial jury, Glenn County Superior Court Clerk Rebecca Walden said. Potential jurors reporting to the courthouse Tuesday morning will be questioned about what they have read or heard about the case. Walden said she suspects it could take a week or more to arrive at a final jury of 12 member plus alternates. So make of that what you will, but Yeah, you know, you want to start setting precedents about these things. You want to start setting precedents because that's how you get folks to think twice before they even think about intruding on your rights. You don't have to do a whole bunch of them. You just need to do a few of them to show them it's a new day. You just need to do a few of them to show them it's a new day. And please remember, it was Joe Biden's Justice Department that attempted to step in and prevent the McMichaels from getting their punishment as well. Remember that. It wasn't just the state of Georgia. It was also the federal government. You ain't never seen state and federal governments get together to protect a guilty black person and say, oh, we're here to shield them from that there. As a matter of fact, they get together to victimize innocent black people, which is exactly what they did here. Both the state and the federal government collaborated together to victimize an innocent black person and to say that you have no rights and that we deputize any citizen to murder you at will, and that is the law of the land. So Johnson there has her day in court, and we need to make sure that she gets everything that's coming to her. As a matter of fact, they cannot do that enough because as far as I'm concerned, this should be enhanced because as an individual she's already shown this proclivity for disregarding the law. And as a suspected white supremacist, it needs to be enhanced to make it very clear to other people that folks who have the ability to deprive citizens of their rights, you should be held to a far higher standard. And if you violate that, then you should get multiple times the punishment for doing so. And when it's very, very clear that you are collaborating with criminal defendants to help them facilitate the crime and to shield them from punishment for their committing the crime, it's like, oh, no. You need to have a seat right next to them. As far as I'm concerned, she should have been put on trial right next to them as accessories to the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. She's an accomplice after the fact. The truth is she's an accomplice after the fact, and she should be charged accordingly. Now, there are many people who say, you couldn't get that done. You also said we couldn't get them prosecuted either. So please understand, those of us who comprise the courageous, we can't be daunted by the cowards. The cowards are always there, scurrying like roaches from one place to another, hoping that today they won't get stepped on. Remember that a coward's way of dealing with anything is to run and hide and squeal and hide and tell you that everybody here needs to be quiet and just hope things don't get worse. That's their way of dealing with everything. And if you didn't think that running from people and being cowardly about it doesn't embolden them, please understand, these folks are emboldened enough as it is. For those of you who did not hear about that, this is coming down the pike. Just when you thought that you had heard the last of this Silicon Valley con artist, Vivek Ramaswamy, there are now rumors that his inner circle is saying that planning to run for governor of Ohio. Need I remind you, in Ohio, where was Tamir Rice murdered? Need I remind you, if we talk about Ohio, by the way, and Tamir Rice was just one. By the way, where did that happen? Just in case you thought it would be all right there. The article here from the Post says biotech entrepreneur and former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy plans to run for Ohio governor, according to two people familiar with his plans who say that the co-leader of President-elect Donald Trump's Department of Government Efficiency will announce his bid shortly. A person inside Ramaswamy's political apparatus who spoke to Ramaswamy this week said that Ramaswamy, boy, how many times you gotta say that? A person inside Ramaswamy's political apparatus who spoke to Ramaswamy this week said that Ramaswamy said that he plans to replace Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, who is term limited. The statement is drafted. It is ready, the person said Ramaswamy told them. Ramaswamy planned to announce his selection after DeWine announces his pick to replace Vice President-elect J.D. Vance in the Senate. Well, that just happened today, so the lieutenant governor of Ohio has been chosen to take J.D. Vance's place in the Senate. So, yeah, there's that. It says here that Trump said that DOGE's Department of Government Efficiency's work must be completed by no later than July 4th, 2026, before the Ohio gubernatorial election in November 2026. DeWine on Friday named Lieutenant Governor John Husted to fill Vance's Senate seat after Vance's resignation from the Senate last week. Ramaswamy had signaled interest in the seat after Trump picked Vance as his running mate. Boy, what a colossal ass kisser. He don't get it, y'all. His run-in with Ann Coulter has taught him nothing. What happened the last couple of weeks ain't taught him a damn thing. He's going to keep kissing their asses, and they're going to keep giving him black eyes, and he's going to keep going back and saying, I'm a model minority. Thank you, sir. May I have another? That's what's going to happen here. It's just getting pathetic at this point, which is rather entertaining to watch. How much butt would a butt kiss? In recent days, Trump encouraged Ramaswamy to consider filling the Senate seat if the post was offered to him. Ramaswamy ran for the 2024 GOP presidential nomination, but dropped out last January and endorsed Donald Trump. And as I told y'all, he just thinks he's running for governor. He just thought he was running for president. He wasn't. I told y'all back then, he's not running for president. He just thinks he is. He's not. He is a Cincinnati native. Oh boy. He is a Cincinnati native and has not previously held office. What? So for those of you who were wondering, you're thinking about places like New York and places like New Jersey and places like Philadelphia, but you can move on over to Ohio and you've got immigrant white supremacists coming in, and there they are. Now, I guarantee you, if he runs for governor of Ohio, he is going to immediately tell you that you need to target all of the Haitian illegal aliens. Damn! That's what he's going to tell you. If he runs for governor of Ohio, he's going to be telling you he's going to say illegal aliens, but he's only going to be talking about the Haitians. He's not going to be talking about anybody else. None of his folk. No Asians will make that list. Just the Haitians. So he's going to see what he can do to appeal to the white supremacists there in Ohio. He's going to see what he can do. He's going to see what he can do. So if you think we can sit and rest on our laurels, oh, no. No, they have a new crop of them coming forth out of the earth like roaches, seeing how far they can get. They are not taking it easy here. It doesn't matter if they're only throwing their clown car hat into the ring. They're doing it anyway. They are doing that anyway, and that is all the more reason why we have to stay vigilant and be at work also. And we have been. And we have been. Earlier this week in New York, in case you all were not aware, Assemblymember Rodney's Hermelin got a visit from us. Now, this will be a little difficult for you to hear because for some damn reason, there was some piano. Somebody was playing the piano right behind here, just playing the piano right behind us. So it's going to be a little hard to hear. Apologies in advance, but just so you be aware, front of stage and center stage, we were right there. You can hear for yourself how things went. So he's asking her about an anti-black hate crime bill. He's asking about that. As you can see, that piano player was giving us the business. So Jason loved the kids, but the piano player was giving us the business up there. But it gets a little bit easier to hear, not tremendously easy to hear, but I'll let it go ahead and play here.
Let me tell you, I've been fighting for black stuff, and they always push me back. Of course, I fought for money, like which they given it in the young men's initiative. So my brother's school, but that's not enough. You guys gave the Asians $30 million. So how many money so yeah, of course, definitely 100%. Is there any way someone is not saying that someone has a and you know who would help also? Me, the legislators that would be big on it. Me, Nikki Lucas, who's in East New York, and Kevin Parker will be good. Chantel Jackson, she's the chair of the task force.
Yes, we are familiar.
Yeah, so the person you want to speak to is not Taisha's my chief.
Like I said, we found the piano player back there. So as a piano student myself, we'll come back and check on her in 8 years. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, she was giving us the business.
Charlene. She's the one who will. Taisha. Is Charlene? Where's Charlene? She's out. Okay.
All right, so as you can see, we were making connections up in there. We were talking to people, so we're letting folks know that there's an agenda at foot. There's an agenda at work, and we are staying on top of that. So that's very important for us to remember to do that because, folks, the bad guys are not taking the day off. Trump winning, as far as they're concerned, this is just the beginning of many more to come. They're not taking it a day off. They're not taking it easy. They're not falling back. They're letting you know Trump wins the presidency. Let's see if we can bring white supremacy all the way to Ohio. Let's just get it, kicked off full speed. So it is very, very important for us to make sure that we're pushing our agenda here as well. That is important. So we've been making the rounds and we've been talking to people. Shout out here to Sage. So if anybody figured that we were letting off the gas, oh, no, we're not. No, we're not, because you see, that is what makes a difference. You don't have prosecutors on trial for killing black folk because you woke up on a random Tuesday and said, do something about it. And you've also got to stay consistent. And consistency doesn't mean when there's fires burning or the police just gun somebody down. When you got to make sure that folks understand that this is the issue and remains the issue. That's the real point. We got to make sure that you understand that this is the issue and it remains the issue. Now, some folks in here, let me go ahead and remind them here. Some of the folks were not listening to last week's program. Some folks think they get brownie points. Some folks think they get brownie points for sitting up here asking where the folks are coming from as opposed to what you're going to push them to do. Because let's be very clear, Vivek Ramaswamy heard what Ann Coulter and friends were saying. He's hoping that he can push things in a different direction, which is the point I always made. For the slow bus kids who were not paying attention last week when we covered this, you had a black district attorney in Brooklyn when Peter Liang, the Asian police officer, gunned down Akai Gurley. The Asians took to the streets. The Asians made phone calls, this, that, and the other. There's a key difference between them and some of what I'm seeing some of the slow bus kids tonight. Where's she from again? The Asians got up real quick. They didn't ask where he was his name Thompson. They didn't ask where D.A. Thompson was from. They told him where he going. So please understand, there's a big difference between us and you in that regard. There's a big difference. Huge difference. So when you see us talking about these things and whatnot, I don't give a damn where they're from. I'm telling them where they're going. These other groups of folk, when it's Jewish people, they didn't ask into that. It's like, okay, you about to get the business. They let you know we are here in person. Ask Jamal Bowman. Ask Cori Bush. Big difference. There's a difference between having thrown around cliches and actually having a strategy and an agenda. So when we roll up on them, they know, hey, there's an agenda at work. It's like, oh boy, we heard somebody else talk to you. Yes, you did. Absolutely, you did. And we just wanted to let you know that, by the way, we'll be saying some more. Because it's very, very easy to start getting caught up here. And the first thing folks start doing is looking for reasons not to do anything. Let me see if we can figure out a reason not to do nothing. The civil rights generation turned these things over to other people. This is how you ended up in the situation that you're in right now. When it was time to get something done, they retreated back home. Too many folks, they talk like they really want to get something done, but in reality, they really just kind of want to chit-chat and go in circles. There's the real problem. They kind of just want to chit chat and go in circles. So when we start talking about we made contact with folks, now, I don't know, we can get nothing done. Meanwhile, I can show you James Clyburn sitting right down there in South Carolina. By the way, what the hell is he getting? Where is he from? Some of the slow kids like, well, really, what's the good idea? Do that right there. I don't know what we're going to do about that, dude. So just recognize that's where that's coming from. It's the same thing when we ran up on Jim Clyburn. Do that there. So we understand. You understand there's individuals who, that's all they're really about. As soon as they see something happening, they are the defeated. And just everything is about what can't get done. And then they see you do it, and then all of a sudden, I knew we was gonna get it done. I knew we could do it. And then it becomes we. Democrats did not place them in positions of power. Once again, I have to get the slow bus sound effect. The Democrats did not place them in positions of power. We allowed that to occur. And instead of making sure that everybody understood that there was a pecking order and a code, we just sat up there and assumed that everybody with a similar skin tone is going to be on code and on board. And that's what's happened for the last 6 decades. The Democrats simply took advantage of the fact, oh, y'all are not enforcing the code, because you take a look at Vivek Ramaswamy, they got together and enforced a code on him, didn't they? For the folks here who still haven't figured this out yet, when Vivek Ramaswamy ran up, They dropped the damn code on him quick, fast, and in a hurry, didn't they? He's sitting over there kissing their lily white asses, and they still dropping the hammer on him. He found out first and foremost that there's a code in place here, and you're not a part of it. Now, that's the way these other folks doing things. That's the way they're doing things. There's a reason why you see radically different results. You see radically different results when other folks got a code, and then when you show up, they don't have to say anything. They don't have to get together. They're already together. The code is already in force. You're going to find out which side of it you're on. And so Vivek is here to tell white society that he would like to join them as their leader. Problem, Vivek has already let them know that, by the way, but here's the thing. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Now he's done told all of them that that's what this was really all about. I'll kiss your asses and you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. Now he's shown up and said, well, it's time for y'all to scratch my back now. I've been scratching y'all's back now for 20 years. It's time for you to scratch mine now. So remember, you're not going to treat me and my people the way you do them Negroes over there. Remember that now. You're not going to treat me and my people the way you treat those Negroes over there. That's the goal now. He's now showing up to get his payoff, y'all. He's here to say, cut the check. He's ready for them to drop the payoff for him. Okay, now, I helped y'all get in the White House. I've been backing white supremacy. And it's time for y'all to drop a few things on my side of the fence. He's waiting for it, and they already letting him know, oh, no, get your ass over there with them Negroes. You get over there. And Coulter is not the only one, because the real thing isn't just about the folks you see on TV. How is the rank and file responding to him? How is the rank and file responding to him? How is the average white person on the street responding to him? That's the real critical part. Does he have support from the average white citizen on the street? Is he getting support from the average white citizen on the street? Or as the average white citizen on the street repeating what Ann Coulter and Steve Bannon said. After all that ass kissing and all that work, well, that's not going to stop him from continuing to try. But I just wanted you all to know that when you talk to these other folk, they got an agenda and a code in place. They got an agenda and a code in place. Understand that. They have an agenda and a code in place. And that means something. That means something. They know that. They know that. So that is why we stayed on the job here, to let you all know that, by the way, we're going forward on that. You have to push for your own rules. That's what we're discussing on tonight's program here. The necessity and the need for pushing for your own rules. You see, if you sit back and say that, okay, I'll wait for other folks to decide what the rules should be, and I will be trusting in their good graces to look out for me. When you make that your standard, just understand you're going to be sucking wind and getting beat up on and every damn thing else. You cannot allow other people to make that rule or that determination for you. You have to be the one who makes that yourself. We've been told that we can't come up with our own rules. We got to wait for everybody else to come to some sort of consensus. And that once they've made up their minds that they found a rule set that they're comfortable with, then you and me can show up, and what we'll do is back their play. That's what they've been telling us. That we need to wait for everybody else to do something, and then when we get done, then we can just jump them and come back their play. Then you go and you read what they said and you read what they offered, and then you realize, actually, they're not offering anything. They're talking in circles. They're talking in circles. And they're not even getting nothing done. They're not even getting nothing done. That's a point for you to keep in mind. That's a point for you to keep in mind. Making up your own rules, pushing for your own rules is difficult. It's difficult because these other folks here are used to the idea of being able to do that themselves. These other folk are used to the idea that we're going to sit around and do nothing here, and we're going to just take whatever they throw at us. That's the thing that they've been telling us, that we're going to just take whatever the hell they throw at us. Then they go and look for some black person. Oh, don't you recognize them from your church? And then you all just fall in line with that. Nobody reads the paperwork. Nobody reads the fine print. Nobody does any sort of vetting. You see, the thing is that the agenda is supposed to come from the grassroots up. That's the difference. We're not supposed to be getting agendas brought to us by politicians. The politicians are supposed to be promoting the agenda that we bring to them. If you've waited for a politician to bring you the agenda, you're already behind. That's the problem. If you've waited until the politician shows up and brings you the agenda, you're already behind. It's already a trick bag. It's already a trick bag. They are supposed to be repeating our words. They are supposed to be repeating our talking points. They're supposed to be repeating our agendas. They're supposed to be saying our names. The civil rights generation was simply grateful to have their existence acknowledged. If you're promoting our agenda, you're supposed to be saying our name. Case in point, Laken Riley. Donald Trump and MAGA and the right, they were going around saying Laken Riley's name. That was the agenda. Laken Riley's people did not have to ask them. They were saying her name. Laken Riley's family didn't have to say Trump's name. Trump and Biden were saying Laken Riley's name. I'm not making this up as I go along. You will recognize where the power is coming from when you look for these very definitive markers. They're supposed to be saying our slogans, cut the check. That's when you know that they're actually responding to it. When they're saying what we said, not when we tell them something and then they go back and try to find some slick way of rewording it, because in the rewording of it, you're changing it. We told you to go be a spokesperson for what we said. We did not ask you to sit up here and go in the back room and, hey, I found a great new lemon twist I can put on this. We didn't ask for the lemon twist. We asked for a straight no chaser. That's the difference. We asked for it straight no chaser. Big difference. Big difference. A lot of folks are not aware of that. That matters and that means something. When you start stating what it is you want and you start pushing for your own rules. Everybody and their mama makes up a damn rule set for us. Please remember the so-called war on drugs with the disparity between so-called crack cocaine and powder cocaine. That was them making up the damn rules as they go along. That's what that was. That was them making up the damn rules as they go along. They just said, oh, well, we'll just do this as we go along here. Oh, look, a new Negro law. That's what I'm talking about. When they do those kind of things, that's not accidental. That is not accidental. So going forward, I know it sounds like a daring new thing to do here, but we're going to be pushing for our own rules. Now, no cash bail. I mean, to a certain extent, sure, that's certainly making your own rules there. But that's a good idea, but here's a better one. Preventing these things from getting started in the first place. The real thing is about preventing these things from getting started in the first place. When you are actually effective enough that these things don't get started in the first place, that's when you're really getting things done. From my perspective, the way in which you deal with that is that folks should not be allowed to speak your name. In Jewish society, Chuck Schumer and friends want to make that the law for Jewish people. I'm like, by the way, we need that type of protection more than anybody else. When people are allowed to make false allegations against you, they shouldn't even be allowed to speak on you unless it is absolute verifiable truth. So if they are speaking about us in a false manner, that should be criminalized. You should not be allowed to speak on us in a false manner. Remember, the police are able to follow up on things. You want to shut a lot of that down? You take away their ability to even do that in the first place. Qualified immunity doesn't help you when nobody's able to sit up here and pin anything on you and falsely to begin with. By the way, qualified immunity doesn't really come into play a lot of the time when people are not allowed to make false allegations to begin with. They can't really get police involved to begin with because there's a consequence to them even speaking your name. And you have Chuck Schumer and friends wanting to do this for Jewish people. And meanwhile, it's like, by the way, hey, Chuck, y'all are not getting the business like we are over here. So if Chuck Schumer and friends are saying that's a good idea for a group that isn't catching 1/3 of the problems that we are, it's like, okay, well, certainly for us, we should have that. Certainly we should. You don't want folk protesting for Palestinians on campus. Well, that makes some of the Jewish students feel uncomfortable if they're protesting on behalf of the Palestinians. Okay, meanwhile, you got white supremacists in faculty, white supremacists in office, white supremacist deans, white supremacist chairmen, white supremacist judges, prosecutors. That makes us as black folk, we've been feeling very uncomfortable about that and being taken advantage of and oppressed and being discriminated against for decades and centuries now. By the way, and that's still sitting there. That's still sitting there. And up to this point, what has been offered to us is, well, you know, if we appeal to their humanity and pray for them and pray that Jesus opens their hearts, not us saying, you know what, new rules. That's a big difference. They told you that you couldn't have prosecutors on trial. And I'm like, by the way, this Johnson chick, she needs to be joined by about 2,000 or 3,000 others. What? She needs to be sitting there joined by about 2,000 or 3,000 others. She should not be there by herself. She should be there with about 2,000 or 3,000 more. And all of them should be looking at decade-long sentences for depriving people of their rights. This is not just not doing your oath of office. What she did? It was not her oath of office. She's been depriving people of their God-given rights now for over a decade. How many other Ahmaud Arbery's are there that she's victimized? Why are we not going over the books? And then she serves a sentence for each one of those. And if she stays in prison for the rest of her life, so be it. So be it. And let that send a message to all the others that it's a new day. We're not here to talk to you about weed. We're not here to talk to you about climate change. We're here to change the political and social climate. We're not talking about the rest of that. And that's what brings me back to New York. In the case of New York in particular, New York has a special significance. New York has a special social significance, a special political significance. There are two places in America when you get things rolling in those places, you start to see it spread into other places. New York and California are two of the bellwethers. When you start seeing legislation form and get codified in New York or California, you see it spread almost inevitably. It spreads to most everywhere else. Case in point, I latched onto this years ago when Gavin Newsom had announced that, they were gonna endorse name, image, likeness for college athletics in California. When I saw that event happen, I let everybody know the dam just broke open. It hasn't fallen all the way out, but it just cracked wide open. California has fallen. All the others will go after it. And what have you witnessed happen now in the last 2-3 years? California went first. Everybody else went after that. Nick Saban had to left college sports because he was so salty and so damn jealous that now the money was going to have to get spread around to the students. He wasn't going to be able to sit there anymore and have a monopoly on getting paid off of those young men's work. Him and his wife going to have to actually do some legitimate work for a damn change. What about, we want to talk about DEI as if black folk are getting some preferential treatment. That's the only preferential treatment anybody's been getting is white privilege. Him and his wife actually have to earn it now. And as soon as they were told they have to earn it, he got up and quit. Isn't that interesting? The second that things changed and Nick Saban and his wife were going to have to actually earn what they got, he immediately quits. Now, isn't that something? Let's be very, very clear. We as the Black Foundation here in America, we're the only folks who ever had to work and earn nothing. We're the only ones who have actually had to earn it. We're the only ones who don't get preferential anything. We're the only ones who don't have anyone who can hand it to us and make sure we keep it no matter. We don't have anybody to protect us. We don't have any privilege that protects us. If you see a black person with it, they earned it. They actually know what they're doing and they earned it. When you take a look at the numbers of people who are unarmed people shot by police, it's always a white police officer. The black police officers earned theirs. The black police officers earn theirs. They don't get to shoot anybody. They don't get to get passed on. Here's your badge and go shoot 3 or 4 people in the back and they're not armed. That's why you don't see those stories. Don't expect Vivek or any of the DEI white supremacist liars to sit up here and point out, by the way, there you go. And that is why when you can make these things happen and you can make these things stick in a place like New York or a place like Los Angeles, it goes differently. When you can make these things happen and stick in a place like New York or California, it makes it go differently. The bottom line is, folks, those are your 2 major television markets, 2 major media markets, 2 major financial hubs, New York and California. When you can make something happen in those places, it's practically inevitable you'll see it happen everywhere else. You can get this to happen in New York. Next thing you know, it's immediately going to start happening in New Jersey, the New England states, Pennsylvania. You're going to start seeing it happen in other places. But it is not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen easily, because what they are accustomed to is we show up, you vent for a little bit, and then they wait out until you're done venting, and then next thing you know, they can go back to business as habitual. So what they want to make sure of is that we are not the civil rights generation. The civil rights generation didn't really mean it. They didn't really mean that they demand systemic change. They didn't actually mean it. They didn't actually mean that. And because they didn't actually mean it, the politicians were able to just wait them out. They gave them a few government jobs and then said, okay, everybody, everything's fine, go home. Then they started MTV and then niggas started juking and dancing. They were not aware of the fact that what happened a decade ago that was going to fundamentally change society. Now they're like, how in the hell do we just stop it? So when you see people saying DEI, what they're saying is let white supremacy reign. Stop talking about fighting racism. Let white supremacy reign. When you point out to them all the white privilege out there, they tell you it either doesn't exist or it doesn't matter. When they talk about DEI, what they're saying is let white supremacy reign. They're not accustomed to the idea that they can yell that all they want to and then it's not actually doing anything. Because here's the real issue about it. That's a nice little slogan that they pass around amongst themselves. How did that work out for Ron DeSantis? He tried to run for president and crashed and burned. Vivek Ramaswamy, how'd that work out for him? He crashed and burned even faster. So don't be deceived in the fact that these are great little cheerleader slogans that work for those guys in their little small circles. It doesn't really translate or have any effect outside of it. These are the things happening outside of it. That brings me to my next thing here. There's another one that's going to be coming up on the 22nd. Oh, I haven't forgotten about that. By the way, in New York, there's another one coming up on the 22nd. I found that to be rather interesting as well. There's another one on the 22nd. And I very much am interested in that. Andrea Stewart Cousins. Very glad to hear that. New York State Senator, President pro tempore of the Senate Majority Leader, District 35. I'm very glad to hear that, Miss Stewart Cousins. And I will be very pleased to make your acquaintance. I'll be very pleased to make your acquaintance. She's going to be having an open house Wednesday, January 29th. I'm so glad to hear that. She'll be having an open house in Yonkers, 28 Wells Avenue building. I'm very glad to hear that. Hopefully all the bitterly cold weather will blow through, but whether it does or not, we will be very, very pleased and very, very excited to make your acquaintance. Because change is in the air, and it is essential that we get everyone on the record that in these times when you're talking about you want to do something about Donald Trump, we're going to start with about what you're going to do about New York right where you are. We're going to start right there. Right there. It's a brand new day when you're bringing them the idea and telling them, by the way, this is the agenda we're pushing for. However, I do want to let everyone know in advance, we're not just going to put lip service behind it. We are not going to just put lip service behind it. It is going to be important and it's going to be essential that everybody be on code about this. I truly am a firm believer that we can flip New York State. I'm a firm believer in that. What I'm going to do here, I'm going to post that on my YouTube post page. I'm going to post that there so you all can see that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. Before I do, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who's contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo, the man Andrew L., Mark B., Mr. Richburg. Thank you very much for your support, my man Jean. Big shout out here to Nancy King.
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time. I told you today I'm still the greatest of all time.
To Nancy King, thank you very much for your support in the Super Chat, sister. We appreciate that. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. When we come back here, probably going to see about taking your calls and more. This is the Black Channel.
When you visit MrBeTheTeacher.com, you can get a copy of his award-winning book, Guidelines for the Successful Student. While you're there, grab one of his newest tunes along with fun and educational lyric videos.
Never give up, don't worry. Never give up, study. In order to
2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6. 2
now swap names, he, she, they, and we. Simplify the satanic divide as the father and guide. Money multiplies and shares on what they buy.
You can also acquire his tutoring services via varsitytutors.com or tutor.com. If you wish to speak to Steve Burgess directly, you can do so through MrBeTheTeacher.com.
The Honey Badger and the Mongoose is a children's story for the family of how a honey badger and mongoose fight an evil alliance of venomous cobra snakes and hyenas that overhauls the balance of the savannah. The Big Five. The honey badger demands reparations. Will the Big Five give the honey badger reparations? Can the evil alliance of cobras and hyenas be stopped? The best new price for the hard and soft cover is at www.thehoneyBadgerandthemongoose.com. You can also find this book at Amazon, Audible, and Kindle.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slavery and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. And I've gone ahead and posted that on the posts tab here on YouTube. So on my channel page, you can see the flyer there for Miss Andrea Stewart Cousins. See, she's New York State Senator Andrea Stewart Cousins. She's going to be having an open house to celebrate the new year on January 29th. That allows plenty of time here, and I certainly intend for us to go ahead and join her. I'm so glad that she's invited us. By the way, it is by RSVP, so make sure you go ahead and join up for that. I think that'll be a very nice thing to have. So, yes, I am very much in favor of that. Very much in favor of that, and I'd very much like to see that. And not only will I like to see it, we're going to make that happen. So, didn't know her there before, but I'm very glad to make her acquaintance. And I don't think I'll be the only one. Be very glad to make her acquaintance. If you agree, we'll go ahead and open this up in the chat room there. I'll go ahead and open up the Zoom and give you all an opportunity to call in on that if you'd like to there. Isn't it amazing some of the progress that has been made? There is no minor progress in the system of white supremacy, by the way. There is no minor progress. They want you to believe that everything is impossible. They want you to believe that nothing can get done. And then when you get something done, they want you to believe that it'll only happen once. They don't want you to believe you can actually change anything. They survive and thrive so much off of apathy. That's why they want you to stare into your phones endlessly. That's why they want to give you nothing but nonstop content, nonstop entertainment, nonstop distractions. So that even if something egregious happens to you, you're actually more concerned about getting back to your distraction than you are stopping what you're doing and dealing with the obvious problem that just happened. That's the whole point of it. How do you get back to that? How do I get back to what I was doing? What they're not accustomed to is that folks are like, you know what? I'd rather take a day off to come see you than anything that's happening on TV, cable, internet, streaming, Netflix. That's new. That is new. And that's important. Think about this for a few moments here. Vivek Ramaswamy has made millions of dollars, not billions, but he's made millions of dollars in Silicon Valley. And what has he chosen to do with it? He now is putting all of his effort into getting into a political position of power. So that's what the money was for. He wanted the money so he could become a player in politics. He didn't get into politics and then figure out how to try to make some money. Those are the rules of the game right there. And of course, the first thing he did as soon as Trump wins, he talks about what he wants for his people and what they're going to get. That's the first thing he does. Let me get in the position of power so I can tell you what me and my people going to get. Okay, let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom. I got Tyler on Zoom. Tyler, unmute yourself.
All right. How you doing this evening, Jason?
All right, Tyler, what's on your mind?
Man, just love what you're talking about tonight. Wanted to give you a couple of updates on Los Angeles and the new homelessness policy that we have here. Governor Gavin Newsom has passed an executive order to limit the red tape and essentially create special new rules for the homeless to rebuild their homes. However, there's an issue with that. All of the water from fighting the fires has actually destabilized the infrastructure of the dirt underneath the homes. So even with the red tape gone, they're still going to have to wait months because they have to go and check 7,000 properties, and not just the properties. They now have to check the ground underneath the properties. So they have to do all types of structural assessments.
Well, it gets a little more complicated than that, because in California, whenever they have the wildfires, they're always going to put them out, and that's always followed by mudslides. So for folks who know about it, they have the wildfires and then they have mudslides. You've already had some folk who were trying to cite, Governor Newsom said this, that, and the other, and the county commissions and the coastal commissions are already pushing back on that with folks. So it's not going to go as easily as his tweets on Twitter may lead some folk to think it will.
So number 2, Jason, and I'm going to run through these. Deportations have kicked off in California and Kern. They have already started taking farm workers out of the field. Literally, they're pulling people over and taking anyone in the car that is illegal looking. I just got to say, Jason, our neighbors, our Hispanic neighbors, have been very nice as of late. There's a brand new energy in the room with Trump coming in. So there are some things taking place on the ground right here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, like I say, once again, I will see how far it goes with those things. We'll see how far it goes. Because like I say, I'll believe a little bit more when I see it. I know there'll be some anecdotal stories here and there. As far as a widespread thing, we'll see. But at the end of the day, that's all nice. A lot of that's window dressing, though. Because if you're not going to actually enact your RICO statutes and whatnot against the white landowners and the white landlords who are recruiting the illegals to begin with. Folks, I want y'all to understand something. Quiet is kept. Nobody talks about this because this is white privilege. You won't hear any of the DEI, anti-black DEI Nazis out there remind you that, by the way, this is a racket. There is a direct line from the cartels and the coyotes to the white men who run these farms and these meat packing plants and these agribusinesses.
100%.
There's a direct line. They have a direct line of communication. The coyotes aren't picking these places by accident. The white men went looking for them. Hey, the cartels went looking for them. There's a direct line of communication between the cartels and the coyotes and the white landowners and agribusiness who are doing this stuff. Direct. I meant what I said. Brother, you know, this operation couldn't run as smoothly as it does if there wasn't. If all of this was by accident or happenstance. When y'all are trying to get some of the Mexicans to fix your damn roof, you'll go get somebody at Home Depot. That's accidental. You see how hard that is. That's a damn hassle. Some days it works, other weeks it doesn't. That's what happens when it's accidental. You can't run a farm on accident. You can't run a meatpacking plant on accident. You can't run a fish factory on accident. That's got to be well planned in advance. That means you have to have somebody you're coordinating with. So when you all see movies like Sicario, for any of y'all who actually seen the movie Sicario, either one of them, when you see the Mexicans getting loaded up on the buses, the coyotes know where the hell they're taking them. They know who they're taking them. They know where they're going to get dropped off. They know who going to get them. And they know how you're going to make a living as soon as you get off that damn bus. They know where you're going because he's the Mexican who was up here in America. He done talk to the white man up here, and then he goes down to Mexico and let his folk back there know this is what it's going to be. Okay, we got us another plant over here. We got us another plant in Texas. We got another plant over here in Arizona. We got us another farm over here in California. So we ready to go. He said he need 200-300 people. We ready to go. Okay, just get them across that border. No problem. We're going to get them there. And that's what happens. So quiet is kept. Nobody wants to talk about this. You want to talk about a real crime bigger than Epstein? Damn! You want to talk about bigger than Epstein? I just dropped something huge in y'all's laps tonight. I'm not making this up. I meant what I said. If you had the Department of Homeland Security actually look into it, oh, I'm sorry, they already know. Oh, I'm sorry, they already know. I'm not making no news tonight. Any police officer in here could tell you the same damn thing. Any sheriff or sheriff's deputy could tell you the exact same damn thing I'm telling you right now. They all know it. It's not accidental. There is a direct pipeline from the cartels and the coyotes. Anybody who's been down into Mexico, you know damn well you can't get nothing through Juarez without the cartels. If the cartels can, the illegal immigrant caravans, you can't bring 3,000-4,000 people through Juarez, through Tijuana without the cartel saying you have permission to pass. Americans know that. Y'all know damn well when y'all cross that border, driving down into Mexico, you're in no man's land. The cartels can set up a damn stop. Nothing moves in Mexico without them saying it can move. Damn sure not gonna get 200 or 300 people balling out and the cartels didn't say you have permission to leave. It ain't happening. So folks, that's what I meant. No, the coyotes move under the cartel's oversight and supervision. Coyotes you can't just bring people in and out. You might be bringing feds up in here. We don't know what you're doing. You don't get to move people. You don't get to move weight. You don't get to move guns. You don't get to move whores. You don't move a damn thing in Mexico without the cartel stamping you, without you being under somebody's direction or protection. You ain't no renegades down there. You don't move nothing in Mexico with the car unless somebody has said, hey, that's my man. Y'all ain't gonna mess with him. That's my dude. We got guns. You ain't gonna mess with him. He's under us. He kicked back to us. So he gets to move the whores. He gets to move the drugs. He gets to move the illegal workers. Because he kicked it back to us. Nobody wants to remind you all of that. By the way, that's organized crime. That's RICO. That's RICO like a son of a gun. Young thugs sitting in court. Meanwhile, Tyson Foods is making billions. Damn!
Jason, to tap on that, the second and last point, of course, with the fires going on, the spotlight was on Karen Bass, the spotlight was on Gavin Newsom, the spotlight was on the planners, the spotlight was on the firefighters. Black people were pushed to the back. They didn't like that. So the first time they show a looter on TV in Los Angeles, it's a group of 3 black men. This is after 70 plus arrests. They had arrested 70 plus people. The first people they decide to show on TV are 3 black men. So they're starting to push them back to the forefront because I'm trying to tell you, Jason, on the ground, feelings are hurt. LAPD's a little nervous. They have convoys. They're not showing this on TV. They have convoys going up and down the 405, about 8 to 10 cars, police cars deep, for no reason. Jason, there's never been any type of situation where you see this on a daily basis. They still have the Palisades protected. They're still nervous because in a couple more days, we have another set of Santa Anas coming in. And now people have kind of seen, there's homeless people trying to start fires. You don't want people who are actually about it and knowledgeable to get access up there. So now they have to protect that huge area, protecting acres of mountains, right? It's taking so much manpower, it's ridiculous. So that's for the crime aspect. Last thing, Jason, we had spoken about Bruce's Beach earlier. Right now, I don't know if you know, they have price gouging protections. Governor Newsom's talking about protecting people from high prices in California. Kind of crazy. But I think it's time to go cutthroat. If there are any black developers who are prepared and ready, the Palisades are cheap right now. I think this is round 2 for Bruce's Beach. Anyone looking to get the next Bruce's Beach going, I think this is a great time to get your hands on some property. That's all I got today, Jason.
I wonder about that. I mean, certainly, maybe. I don't know how many folk are actually going to leave. My concern is that it's going to be a while before that gets sussed out. It's going to be a while before we figure out what settles. I mean, literally. You know, you're going to have to wait till your mudslides and everything else are done because you can't really build till you get grass. So it's going to take a while before you even figure out what can be. I don't know. I don't think a lot's going to come up. I think a lot of them folk are going to try to make a stand at the very least. They're probably going to wind up getting priced out in that regard. So there would be some folk who leave. That's for damn certain. Somebody had asked in there before, is why would those people want to rebuild there? All I can say is you've never been. If you've never been to the Palisades, you've never been to Pacific Coast Highway, then you don't know why. But, I mean, it's one of the most beautiful places in the country. It really, really is. So, yeah, folks are going to want to get at that. However, if there's not a long-term plan to prevent this from happening, I think that's going to be a huge headwind to folks wanting to get into that. So, and you're absolutely right. They're expecting some more winds, by the way. So we're getting ready for another Arctic front to move through. So those Arctic fronts and them winds in California are moving in conjunction. So 2025 isn't even a month old yet, and it's already Armageddon out here. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me go ahead and see if I can get Ridge here on Zoom. Let me go ahead and get Ridge up here on Zoom. Okay, Ridge is working on connecting his audio here. All right, Ridge looks like the third Migo. All right, Ridge, what's on your mind?
What up with it? Nah, I wasn't trying to say nothing. I was just trying to keep watching y'all. Y'all doing good. Y'all killing it.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, if I come up with something, I'm gonna say something.
Okay. All right, fellas are hitting the pipe, and is this thing here working? Yeah. And there will be opportunities there, but also there's going to be the opportunities that we make. And we are getting to work to make some opportunities now. going forward. That's going to be a big thing to keep in mind here. You know, that's been the missing ingredient to all of this. It does you no good. I'm just showing you in real time. It does you no good. You have all these black folk. You talk about some of your rappers. They went off and made investments. And, ooh, take a look at all the money 50 Cent made in this investment. Take a look at all the money that Nas made with this investment. Take a look at oh, that doesn't impress me. That doesn't impress me. Because take a look at Vivek Ramaswamy and take a look at what he did with the money that he invested with his investment. You take a look at that. That's something to keep in mind right there. You want to see some folks who are serious? I need to remind you all, like the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro, they didn't get things cracking on their own. Billionaire Texas oil men got Daily Wire going. These other folks sit up here, they make some money and then immediately go to work seizing the politics. Black folk make some money, they buy a house, they buy a car, and then pray to God that the white supremacist politicians don't come for them. If I just keep my head low and I don't make no trouble, they're going to go ahead and leave me alone. That's nonsense. These other folks are out here showing you how that's done. Elon Musk, let me become the richest man in the world. Next thing he knows, he says, man, I'm letting it all ride. Trump to the White House. Think about that for a few moments. Bill Gates was scared to make that move. He was always trying to move behind the scenes. Bill Gates was scared to make that move. Warren Buffett was scared because so much of what he does is regulated by the SEC. So he didn't really want to upset anybody because he's thinking about, well, by the way, presidents come and go. If I upset this party, when the next party gets into power, they'll make an SEC chairman who's going to give me the business. Elon Musk said, man, damn that, let it ride. We're going to have a fundamental reorganization, not of American government, but American society. Elon Musk said, what the hell good is it for me to be the richest man on the planet if I can't we're talking about remaking Mars. Elon Musk is talking about remaking Mars. What good does that do if you can't remake America? So Elon Musk said, look here, before I remake Mars, let me see if I can remake Washington, D.C. How much does that cost? He's like, oh, I figure it's going to cost me about $50 billion. Okay, but take a look at what he did. Let me go ahead and teach y'all something right quick. Take a look at what Elon Musk did. Did Elon Musk go and try to buy a bunch of political seats? Did Elon Musk go and try to start a political action committee? What? Damn right I'm yelling it because ain't nobody else telling it. Some of the ideas that folks throw out there and whatnot. By the way, did Elon Musk try to start a PAC? Is that where he started before anybody even tries to say this next part? Yeah, I know what you're going to say. Is that where he started? Is that what got things going? Or did Elon Musk say, I need a bigger megaphone? Did Elon Musk say, let me go buy a political seat? Or did he say, I need a bigger megaphone? He bought Twitter because Twitter was the biggest megaphone. Next thing you know, I'll be damned. You damn right. There's a direct connection between Elon Musk purchasing Twitter and Donald Trump going back to the White House. A direct line of communication. Damn right it is. So in other words, what he did was turn up the volume of what they do. Made sure the politicians could not ignore them. So he took all that money he earned and then went straight to work to have a communication apparatus. Oh yeah, not on cable TV, not on broadcast TV. He didn't buy a bunch of radio stations and television stations. He bought one website. It was enough. It was enough. By the way, some folks said that he overpaid for Twitter. Where are those people now? By the way, remember all the folks who were saying Elon paid too much for Twitter. Oh, that was a bad investment. The value went down. By the way, where are those people today? Have you found any of them today? All the folks who were saying that then, by the way, Can you find a single person who will say that that was a bad investment now? Now that they're talking about he damn near doubled his net worth after that, by the way, somebody in the chat room talking about, did he care though? Yes, he did, because if the investment didn't pay off, then he was going to be out of, if he wins all the marbles, he increases his value, he becomes indispensable, he becomes a power player on the global stage. If this investment goes badly, he loses it all. So yes, he very much cared. That's why he was going at folk who were upset about that and talking down on the investment. That's why he was kicking his salespeople into gear and saying, we got to get these numbers up. We got to sell blue check marks. We can't have this thing fail. I don't know how much actual revenue Twitter is making. I do know one damn thing. By the way, ain't nobody else close to it. Even Facebook, Zuckerberg wants to change Facebook now to make it more like Twitter with community notes. But it goes beyond that. Take a look at Twitter's so-called competition. Whatever happened to Mastodon? What? Hey, how many of you opened up your Blue Sky accounts? Damn! Are any of you sharing your Threads account?
Nigga, please.
I'm asking for a friend. For all the folks who allegedly were going to get up and go abandon Twitter because Elon Musk took over. By the way, how many of them did that? How many of them did that? You know where the real miscalculation was? You know where the real somebody put in the chat room, Truth Social. There's a reason why Truth Social and Mastodon and Blue Sky are never going to make it as big as Twitter or Facebook. And that is because people do not respond to stuff that they agree with. Things you agree with don't require a response or engagement. It is things that you do not agree with that most trigger you to respond, i.e. to engage. You don't go back and forth with people that you agree with. You just click like one time and keep it pushing. It is things that you don't agree with that you're most likely to comment about, repeatedly comment about, share and dispute. So you see, it is environments of things that you disagree with that will actually be more popular. Getting together a website with a bunch of people who are all of like minds, that's not going to drive them to actually associate with each other. That's the problem. It seems counterintuitive. You would think that that makes a big tent, and in reality, that's not what it does. Everybody is going to be far more active and far more likely to engage on Twitter because there are people to engage with. They actually do not want to be there amongst a bunch of people who already believe what they believe. And by the way, even to the extent that that happened, it went awful. Have you all heard what's been happening over there on Blue Sky? Blue Sky has turned into, damn me, Lord of the Flies over there. Folk left, they went over there, and as soon as they got over there, they found out that it was a litmus test 5 times worse than it was on Twitter. If you don't toe the hardcore Democrat Party, leftist, progressive, transgender children, drugs for your children, transhumanism agenda, if you don't toe the line over there on Blue Sky, they ban you over there. They get you up off of their site. So what did they teach you there? That, oh, really? So you were not interested. Your fear wasn't that Elon Musk wouldn't let you speak. Your fear was that you just wanted people to do what you were saying for them to do. Don't believe me, folks. You can go check. You can go Google that for yourselves about Blue Sky. It's become Lord of the Flies over there. There's a whole bunch of folk who left Twitter, went over there. They disagreed with one of the holy tenets of the socialist, leftist, transhumanist, pervert deviants. They disagreed with one thing, not 5 or 10, just one. Next thing you know, every dude who owns a wig and a pair of high heels and wants to go to the bathroom with your 5-year-old daughter was jumping up there talking about you're transphobic. And here came Blue Skies mods. You must be a Trump voter. You have to go. That's what's been happening over there on Blue Sky. Okay, but that was easily predictable. That was easily predictable. Easily. So I want you to understand why it worked. So if you're going to do those things, you can understand how to make that work. Elon Musk got the money, and then after he was unassailable, then he said, okay, let me go ahead and go into politics here. But his way of going into politics was, let me take control of an apparatus that all the politicians want to have access to. Joe Biden is on Elon Musk's website. Barack Obama is on Elon Musk's website. Kamala Harris is on Elon Musk's website. And just that quickly, he became the kingmaker. Politicians fighting for an elected seat that they can only have for a limited number of time. Your time in the presidency is limited. Elon's control of Twitter is technically eternal. Your presidential administration will come and go. Twitter, ostensibly, is still going to be there to name the next president. Just like they named you, they will be there to name the next president. They will be there to promote the conversation that favors the next president. Now, their smart thinking is not thinking just about who is in office now, but also about who will be there next. Please understand that. J.D. Vance is already putting on his Blistex and puckering up his lips to kiss Elon Musk's pasty, hairy, white ass. Because you're going to need it. Because you know full damn well when Trump leaves office, Marco Rubio's coming for your neck. Nikki Haley is coming for your neck. Ron DeSantis is coming for your neck. J.D. Vance knows he's the weak man on the totem pole. He knows that as soon as Trump leaves office, all bets are off. Everybody else is coming for his neck. He knows it. He's going to need all the help he can get. And he's going to need somebody like Elon Musk to help put his finger on the scales and tip things to his advantage. Oh, no, it's not going to be Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom has watched his political career go up in smoke. He watched it go up in flames. You don't want to be internationally famous with this going on. You don't want to have that. Your political careers don't survive things like this. Karen Bass, the fires are not what ended Karen Bass's career. The fires are not what did that. What did it to her was when she got off that plane and that reporter was asking her about the fires and she just sat there quiet. In a time of crisis, she froze. That's the end for her. Jason, how do you know? Because I watched it happen in Louisiana. I watched it happen in Louisiana 20 years ago when the levees broke, Hurricane Katrina, when I watched it happen then. Our governor was Kathleen Blanco. She was the first female governor elected for the state of Louisiana. She had run against Bobby Jindal. She beat Bobby Jindal. She became governor of Louisiana. And then the levees broke. The hurricane came and the levees broke. And everyone was looking for her leadership. She wasn't speaking. You couldn't find, for most of the first day, she couldn't be found. Now, you can bring up any stereotype about females you want to. The bottom line is they were looking for her and she couldn't be found. So any misgivings that anyone might have had about a woman being able to handle the situation, she did terribly. Simply because you couldn't find her. At the very least, say something. At least let people know you're there. Don't let people be in crisis and there is no clear leadership. So I lived that in Louisiana. Bobby Jindal was basically polishing up his track shoes to run for governor again in 2007, and he beat the brakes off of her. I was sitting here and I watched it. I watched it. So Karen Bass thought that it was going to be a glamorous cakewalk to be mayor of Los Angeles, and she figured she could just keep slow rolling the homeless issue. And nature threw her a curveball she wasn't ready for. There was a crisis, and she just looks like she doesn't even know where she is. She doesn't even look like she knows where she is. And when that man put the microphone in her face and she's just sitting there looking around like a lost child, that was damning. She didn't look like an adult. She didn't even look like an annoyed adult. She looked like a lost kid. You didn't feel angry at her. You felt pity. And people don't re-elect folk that they pity. They get rid of you. We didn't hate Kathleen Blanco after the levees fell. We were just ashamed of her. We were ashamed of her. We pitied her. And we really just wanted to do her like Joe Biden. Just grab her by the wrist and lead her off the stage. Baby, get on up out of here. Clearly you don't belong here. Just go. Stop embarrassing yourself and stop tormenting us. Just go. That image of her sitting there looking down like a little kid being scolded, that's going to be etched in stone. That's going to be etched in stone. You're not going to get around that. Period. It's not going to help you. Not going to help you. So as far as they're concerned over there, another thing, by the way, their constituency is speaking. Their constituency is speaking to them, and they're not. What they're learning is that, by the way, these other folk don't play that game. When their constituency speaks, they expect them to respond. They spoke. They got quiet. It's like, okay, you got to go. The agenda is coming from the grassroots up. Either it's going to happen or you got to go. And yes, California is one of those wacky places. Gavin Newsom, well, he can't really run for governor again, I don't think. If he can, good luck to you, buddy. You're going to need that. Hopefully your Hollywood friends like you enough. They're going to go ahead and give you a job mopping floors at Warner Brothers Studio or something. I don't know. But what we do know is that, by the way, that was a terrible look. The real thing here is that when an agenda, what it shows you is that you have to keep your foot on their necks, and you cannot wait for them to bring you an agenda. You have to bring the agenda to them. You also have to be willing to hold them accountable. Right now, today, I don't give a damn who you are as a Democrat. You're giving Gavin Newsom the business. Right now, there is nobody who is saying that Gavin Newsom is doing a great job. Nobody. There's absolutely no one saying Karen Bass is doing a great job. Even their so-called Hollywood friends, none of them are sticking up for them. None of them are jumping out the damn window. They're coming out left and right like, oh, hell, hang them high. Hang them high. They're not throwing them a lifeline. They're saying that you had one job to do. And then that's it. And by the way, that's what you are supposed to do. By the way, one more thing, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to support them if they're getting your job done, and if they're not, first one overboard. That's how you, A, prevent people from making your problems worse, and B, you send a message to everybody else. When you show that you are willing to kick folk out quick, fast, and in a hurry, if things not going right, you just sent a message to everyone else not to test your gangster. That's what you just did. Yeah, they got recalls for Newsom and for Bass. They got recalls for both of them. Yeah, that's exactly what's going down. Recalls for both of them. We'll see how it goes. But by the way, what the whole point of showing people that you will grab them and get them up out the paint and run them up off of the block, that's going to be quick. That's going to be quick. Please keep that in mind. Please keep that in mind. These folks don't understand that because we haven't taught them that. The previous generations taught them that you could do stupid ass stuff and we'll just sit here and shuffle our feet and then try to amuse ourselves. Like, nah, let me go ahead and deal with you. Let me go ahead and deal with that. I'll also say one other thing, folks, out of sight, out of mind. You want to know why it is that the LGBT community is only 2% of the population? And yet the politicians can get them, they can move the politicians so much because they don't stop moving. They remain visible to the point that now they've turned society against them. But they had a good little old run. I mean, the laws are in place now. Okay, their fortunes have turned against them. But by the way, the laws are in place now. So you got to deal with that now. The laws are in place. So yeah, they're kind of in retreat right now because they're not very favored right now. Understood, but the laws are in place now. So what you gonna do about those? When you talk about the LGBT and you talk about the Palestinians and Jewish folk and illegal aliens and whatnot, those folks stayed visible. And I'm not talking about visible just marching down the streets, although that does have its function as well. I want us to understand that it's important for us to be visible. It's great for, you have protest and rally and demonstrate and all this old stuff. That all has a place and that is important and that does have a function. But I also want you to understand that if our goal is to change laws and to change policies, then you got to start talking to folk. That means you got to start getting folk on the phone. That means you got to start pulling up. If the only folk who pull up are the Hebrew Israelites telling these folk here, by the way, we are the descendants of Ham, and you need to do something for Ham, or we're going to go ham. All I'm saying is that if the only folk who pull up, if those are the only ones who actually show up, I want you to think about that for a few moments. If those are the only ones that come through, okay, please keep that in mind. We need to make sure those folks understand that we're serious. Like, okay, we didn't just show up once and just call into a program just one time. It's like, oh, no, we here. We here and we gonna be here. And we are watching. And also, one more thing. Every time we talk about this, is somebody that where they come from and who they people is, it's like, okay, I need you all to understand something. It is equally as important to identify the people who are quote unquote with you. And please understand, ain't nobody with us. I already said this before. So the folks talking about, ooh, where that person from? I say, dude, why are you asking that? As if there's somebody favorable to us. The simple-minded lack of critical thinking skills or even thinking, ain't nobody with us. We are recruiting people. There's nobody with us. Please get that through your head. I thought you figured that out 4 damn years ago when I had presidential candidates talking about cut the check. Okay, they said cut the check, but they wasn't with us. Gavin Newsom said he supported reparations. As soon as it was time for a vote, he ain't with us. Why are you asking silly questions? Because you talk in circles, because you're trying to keep yourself entertained. Please go back to the Sesame Street channel. Grown folks is over here. Nobody's with us, people. I'm not approaching any of us as if everybody's with us. I'm approaching this as if nobody's with us, and we're going to have to get them on board. Okay, but also equally as important as those who are on board are those who are not. That's why I've been talking about folk like Eric the Villain Dillon up there in New York. I want us to be very, very clear about who it is we talking about. That is all very important. I want to know that. I want to know who's with us. I want to know who is against us. I want to know who it is who thinks they're going to fly below the radar. I want to know all of them. See, that's a level that folks usually are not thinking about. So why do you need to know about who's against you? We need to know everyone. We need to know everyone. We need to do all of the above. We need to know everyone who is with us, everyone who is against us. We need to know everybody who says they're on board and everybody who says they're not. You need to call on phones. You need to knock on doors and let them know, okay, you are there, but also for the folks that you think are against you. Also for the people that you think may be against you. That's important also. In the chat room, there was nothing wrong with Tariq. The reparations rally is perfectly fine. That's exactly what you do. That put pressure on the Democrats at a time that they were not needing it. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with your demonstrations or protests or rallying. Nothing wrong with that at all. So please don't try to raise that as a negative. That's not a negative. What I'm also saying, though, is that those are tools in the toolbox. Those are a set of tools, but there's also others. So that's not a negative. Those are positives. Sometimes you need to turn up in the streets. What? I said it. I've been saying that now for 20 years. Sometimes you need to turn up in the streets. I was the dude bailing folk out of jail. So very obviously that lets you know where I stand. Sometimes you got to take to the streets. You damn right. Sometimes you got to hold up traffic. You damn right. Sometimes you got to stand right outside the White House. You damn right. You better believe that. Absolutely. Sometimes y'all got to pull up in numbers. You damn right. Better believe that. And then when you leave there, then you start hitting phones. You start hitting folk up. You see an opening. So you do that. And then next thing you know, you turn around and go out there to California. I was broadcasting live that night. Y'all were here. Y'all saw me doing that. I'm broadcasting live to keep an eye on that because I wanted you to understand. And then you had some jackasses and clowns acting as if that was a bad thing. I'm like, that was a win. What happened in California, that was a win either which way. The slow bus kids who are always walking in the wrong damn direction. They've always got their damn hat pulled down over their eyes. They're always walking in the wrong damn direction. And they didn't understand that, by the way, what happened in California, that was a win. Jason, how so? Because they put a spotlight on the issue and it made it very clear who was with us and who was not with us. And they had to state their case openly and had to put themselves on the record in front of everybody. That was something you didn't have before. And the difference is that if they didn't do the right thing, there was going to be an adverse reaction. The civil rights generation didn't give a damn whether the folk they voted for did the right thing or the wrong thing. They were going to support them regardless. This is the first time they saw a new generation that was watching what they were doing and were looking to see if they were going to do the wrong damn thing. Gavin Newsom thought he was going to stall for time and get other people to take the blame for what he wouldn't do. Then he found out the hard damn way, oh, that's not going to work. We're all looking at you, and we saw you veto that. We saw you kick that off. We saw you when you did it. That's what he wasn't counting on. He wasn't counting on that happening. None of them were. The only fellow who did speak up is the one whose term limit, the one who's going to be leaving office. That's the only reason he was going to speak up. The rest of them folk, they sitting there swinging on their own. That was a win because your agenda is front and center. That's a win. National headlines. We're talking about across the country. That's what I'm saying. A lot of these folks out here don't know what a win looks like. Yes, it's nice to have legislation. That's always your goal. But you also need to know what progress looks like. The fact that Gavin Newsom was hiding. He was hiding from vetoing that. That tells you that was a win. If he really thought that public sentiment was against it, he wouldn't have been hiding. He would have told them to kick that mess back in the first place. He didn't do that. If he really thought that public sentiment was against us, he would have just dismissed it out of hand. He didn't do that. That's what lets you know who's actually got the momentum behind them. No, marches are not irrelevant. No, they're not. That is not the case. They have their place. They have their place. I'm also letting folks know that you've got more than one tool. And right now, you have a hyper-polarized environment in many regards. You have Democrats who the lesson they took from the 2024 election is to become more like Trump. And by you staying in their faces and letting them know that, by the way, no, that's not what's going to happen. New agenda on here. That's not what's going to occur. That's the kind of thing. Vivek Ramaswamy is letting you know right now that, by the way, the presidential election is over. And he's like, by the way, they're moving on to the next election. Do you get that? They are in perpetual political mode. Do you understand that? Our opposition is in perpetual political mode. This is where we're at now. There's no longer a political season. We are in perpetual politics now. Either state, federal, or local, the machine is always running. Now that you understand that, then you understand that you can't just plan for one thing or one big push, 1 year, one date. Okay, let's make it through election day, and there we go. You cannot think in those terms because take a look at what the opposition is doing. They're not thinking in those terms. They are in perpetual political mode. That's where we're going to be because we're the people being most victimized by politics. So yes, we need to most be about that. We need to most be about that. There are a whole bunch of folks. I want y'all to understand something. Do y'all know we got haters and ops in here right now? What? Did you all know we got haters and ops sitting in this room right now? Do y'all understand that? Let me explain to y'all how this works. You got a bunch of haters and ops in here They want, quote, black people to win, but they don't want it to come from the black channel. Did you get that? There are a bunch of folks out there, they sold their souls, they made asses of themselves, they're shaking hands with the enemy, they've been put on blast, they're in and out. They want things to change, they want black folk to have something, but they don't want it to come from us over here. They don't want it to be tied back or traced back to us over here. You get that? I want y'all to know there's a bunch of folk that they're very angry and very upset. Even if this were going to be a great big win for black people, they just don't want us to be the ones who do it. So they are actively hoping against us, and in many cases trying to work against us. They just don't want us here to win. So they are perfectly willing to see black folk lose and be delayed and postponed so long as, man, as long as that nigga Jason don't get nothing. Him and all them old hard-headed ass niggas be around him. Talking about that old black empowerment, economic empowerment stuff. I want y'all to understand that. There's a number of them in here that they don't want us to win on those terms because they're not ready for the next step. They don't like what we're talking about because they're not ready to lead anything. They're not ready for that. They are happy with things being the way they are. So they can sit there and be like, okay, they can come back every week and be entertained. They don't actually want us to remove those obstacles, not if we're going to get credit for it. And we're not even seeking credit. There's the real killing thing about it. We're not seeking credit, but for them, they see that as a problem because when every victory fuels the next victory, and it's not so much the person that's the issue, it is the agenda that's the issue, because if these people don't know how to articulate or promote the agenda, the next thing you know, they just disappear and become invisible. You've seen a lot of that happen over the years, haven't you? You've seen a lot of weird, wacky people wander in and then eventually wander out, some of them with drugs in their hands or whatever. Many of them found themselves just on the damn outside looking in. So they're okay with this. They're just not okay with our vision of this prevailing. That's what I'm telling you. They're okay with it to an extent, but what they're not okay with is our vision prevailing. They're not okay with that. That's the part they got a problem with. No, they don't actually want to see a black first agenda. They don't actually want to. They want white supremacy to take his boot off of their necks, just not their boot off of everybody's. Okay, let me just go ahead and get gully with it. Let me just go ahead and get into the dirt with it here. Do you understand that there's a number of folks sitting right here in this room right now? We see you, you hating ass little bastards. They don't want to hear us talking about black folk working together and cooperating. Black Wall Street to them is cool as an abstract idea, but as a literal thing, they're like, oh, hell no. Well, Jason, why? Because they are comfortable in this system of white supremacy where they answer to white people and are victimized by white people. They would rather have that than have a situation where they are answerable and accountable to us. Sitting right here. That's the issue that they have. They don't like the idea that they would be accountable to us. Not at all. I want y'all to understand now. You have a number of folks sitting right here, right now. If you want to, they're hating on the low, and when they do speak up, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. You can't do that. That won't work. Who them folks is? Really, talking to them ain't gonna do no good. Every time they turn around, they're telling you why everything you're talking about doing, there's just nothing that will work. Did you notice that? Start off the program by pointing it out. You start noticing that. We make progress, we talk to people, and then they just, who is that? Why is they there? Why are you talking to them? What's that for? They ain't gonna do nothing. Don't you understand that they got a problem with that? They have a problem with you making moves, because once that happens, let me be very clear to my brothers and my sisters from around the world. See, there's really two groups of us. There really are. I need you to understand that. Listen to me. There are two groups of us. And there's a group out there that we want to rebuild the majesty of the Black Wall Street times 1,000. That everything you got in the New York financial districts and Hudson Yards and all that, we intend to put all of that to shame. That's us over here. You're going to school, you're getting your credentials together, you got your credit score together, you're getting your savings together, you're doubling and tripling your income, you're amassing a war chest, you getting ready to nation build, leading to nation running. That's one side of us. Then there's the other side. That other side, they don't like it that every once in a while they get the crap kicked out of them by the white supremacist society. They get emasculated. They get insulted. Can't really do nothing. Yeah, but they don't want you niggas running it. Because you see, right now they get to be the children under white society. White society is giving them instructions, but is not giving them responsibility or accountability. When they hear us, understand, folks, when you have a Black Wall Street, you know what's going to happen next. All hands on deck. When you say Black Wall Street, the next order of business is all hands on deck. You're not going to have no lazy asses. You're not going to have nobody's little bastard son sitting over here ain't pulling his damn weight. You're not going to have some nigga sitting over here telling you, the real thing is, touching my spirituality and you got to smoke a little weed. He got to go. Dude, we've been waiting centuries to correct this thing. You got to go. This is why when you take a look at your black restaurants and whatnot, grab some slutty ass heifer standing up on this man's desk or standing on this man's tables. That's because they hating on it. They came in there to pay, tell them they were going to pay for a meal, and in reality they hate on it. How dare you be black like me and you actually doing something, because now this has responsibilities. Yes, the responsibility is that you are to sit your ass at that table and comport yourself in a manner better than you were over there at the white folks restaurant. That's responsibility. To have the responsibility of demonstrating that you are dignified and intelligent. That dignity thing is offensive to a number of people. That's responsibility being placed on you. The man who runs it and owns it has a responsibility to put together a great product, and you have a responsibility to honor that as a great customer. That's your responsibility. Don't y'all know we got a bunch of folks who don't want that? That's where the homie hookup culture comes from. That's where the hate and hoe culture comes from. There's a reason why you do not, I'm going to say it here tonight. There's a reason why you don't have a black female hair care industry anymore.
And deal with it, nigga.
I got to talk about this for just a few moments here. I'm going to touch on it. I know it's a touchy, sensitive subject. I won't touch on it real quick, right? I promise I'm going to jump right off of it. It's going to be real sensitive and real touchy. I'm going to touch on it real quick on a few things, and then I'm going to jump right off of it. But to the females listening to me right now, You be a black female. Let me tell you something. You notice you have a bunch of other hoes out here. I mean, this heifer looks like damn me Plucky Duck. The hair on her head looks like damn me the Tasmanian Devil. What? And as soon as you start talking about hair care, she telling you she don't want to hear about that. Got 5 kids by 5 different dudes and can't figure out why it is that that's the best she can get. You start talking about opening a hair salon, it's going to be other black females hating on it more than anything. That's not going to be black men. There will not be a single black man who shows up and causes a problem. There'll be other black females who will cause that issue. If you are a black woman in medicine, oh, you thought I was going to stop at hair care like I've talked before? Oh, no. Let me bring this down to earth for you. To my black women listening here tonight, if you're a black nurse, RN, nurse practitioner, God help you being a doctor, you know damn well, and the females you're gonna have some females who work with you, and then you're gonna have a bunch of the others straight hating, trying to engineer your downfall, trying to undermine you. They like, let the white folks come take this thing over, not you. Oh, man, I'm hurting some feelings tonight. I done ripped some scabs off. I got a bunch of folks upset, but I'll be damned. You know I'm telling the damn truth. You'll be sitting right there. You got a bunch of other heifers sitting around you, and they would rather undermine you and say, let the white folks come buy this thing and take it over from you. I'd rather see them have it than you. I'd rather see the Asians have it than you. She would rather sit up there and get a damn broomstick busted upside her head by the Asians than to see you have that. I know there's a bunch of females in here feeling exactly what I'm talking about tonight. I'm not going to stay in it too long because I know that's a tender, touchy subject, but you know it's the truth. You know it's the truth. There's a group of us who all we're concerned about is building, innovating, and empire making. But then there's another group over there that the idea of that scares them, that bothers them. They don't like that. They don't want us to be in charge of our own destiny. Because you see, white society doesn't actually have proximity to them. We do. Don't y'all understand there's a bunch of black folk who don't want to see you remake the block. They don't want to see you rebuild the block because they got to get their ass together. And they're not ready to do it. So they don't want to see you making any progress and getting something moving. They don't want to see that because then that takes away their damn excuses. And the deadliest thing in the world for a lazy ass who ain't doing nothing are the people around them no longer accepting excuses. That's why they don't want males around them who have the ability to buy things. The brother was talking about before about we need some black folk to develop some stuff. We need some black folk who can, first of all. But the first thing a group of black men gonna do, let me tell y'all something. When you got a group of black men who got something popping, we have zero tolerance for a nigga sitting next to us ain't pulling his damn weight. You take a look at Death Row Records, Kanye West, Rockefeller, anything. When you show up, you got to work. When you show up, you got to work. If you can't do it, you got to go. G-Unit, you name it. T.I. cut ties with the white girl, Iggy Azalea. Oh, you ain't working, you got to go. She went on tour. She didn't do the whole damn tour. That's it, you done. We're not going to sit here and carry your grown ass. That's a whole big difference. We're not going to carry your grown ass. When you have a black community that is run by white society, they will accept that situation because that's a tax that they pay to make sure everybody stays handicapped and hobbled. They know full well when you get it popping, that's going to be the first damn thing you're going to fix. It's like, oh, wait a minute. You're not going to be just standing around and loitering. We ain't going to have that. Let me tell y'all something, folks. People don't understand. It's not going to be room for mammyism. When we start getting things economically empowered, it's not going to be room for mammyism. It's not going to happen. The only thing we're going to look for is, are you carrying your weight? You're carrying your weight. You're protected. You sitting over there talking about, well, you know what I mean? Things is rough. Let me be a big ass man, baby. A big ass woman, baby. Okay, yeah, you got to go. So please understand that there's a number of folks, a number of ops sitting here listening right now. They don't like this. They don't want us talking about pushing for legislation. They don't want to hear us talking about making things happen, because they know that as soon as we get power in our hands, we're going to start looking down at the dirt beneath our feet and saying what we're going to do to remake that. And if they are standing on the dirt next to us, we're going to be like, now, you know, you're going to have to earn the right to be here, right? Everybody got to put in. You understand that, right? But if the only thing she's ever perfected is wiggling her butt cheeks, and the only thing this guy over here has ever perfected is working the Xbox, don't you know that they understand they're getting their ass whooped by white supremacy, but they don't want you in charge. They don't want you empowered, not at all. So the first thing that they're going to say, as soon as you start talking about overturning the status quo, that ain't going to work. That's not going to work. That's not going to happen. Let me explain something to you, to some of the folks who are hoping that we're not going to succeed because you desperately need us to not succeed at all. Let me be very, very clear about this. No matter where the politicians come from, let's understand something. Politicians respect power. There's financial power, there's also social power, there's also emotional power. And when you demonstrate that you are competent and you are codified and you are organized, let me go ahead and show y'all one more time here. Let me show you something. I'm going to do it. I don't even have to do it with the damn audio on. I don't even need the audio on to do this. When you take a look at our brother Sage sitting up here talking to the assemblywoman here, I want you to recognize something. There's a reason why some things come together better than for other folks here. I'm going to turn the audio off because the kid on the piano was just breaking us down. They're a sweetheart, but I'm just saying this. I remember when I was 4 years old on the piano, it's like, okay, they're giving you the work. Do you see him being emotional? Do you see him gesticulating? Do you see him fumbling and mumbling for words? Take a look from the moment he starts talking to her. Do you see him stumbling and fumbling and mumbling for words? Do you see him going on some long ass lecture? Do you see him groveling? Do you see him trying to figure out where his thoughts and his mind is? Or did he walk up to her and get straight to the business? He's not here to waste her time, and he doesn't want her wasting his. Do you see the difference in how you do that? Is he wearing a fez? Oh, I'm going to upset the fez folk out there tonight. Damn! Okay, but do you see him talking? Sister, I'm so glad to tell you here. Are you aware that we are the descendants of King Tutankhamun, Abdul Rahman, Muhammad Ali? Are you aware, sister, that we are the original people of Manhattan Island? And as the original people of Manhattan Island, we need politicians to understand that is where we come from. And do you know your history, sister? Because if you did, you would know that we are the original people of the earth, and particularly Manhattan Island, and that is why you need to listen. Where you going? Assemblywoman, where you going? Why is she leaving? That's the problem. These politicians don't listen to us here. They are always ignoring their constituency. That's the difference. Folks, I want you to understand this video is less than a minute. This video is less than 2 minutes long. It's only a minute and a half long. And I'm showing you this part right here because he took the lessons. He executed the game plan exactly the way I've told you. If I could get 1,000 of you to do the same damn thing, we revolutionize society. Just saying. He walked up to her. He talked about what it was. And a minute later, she's saying, okay, let me get my person over here to get in contact with you. A minute later. From the time he talked to her, about a minute later, she's saying, okay, she's looking around. Where's my person at? Where's my person at? Where is she at? So I can get her to, okay, yeah, she needs to talk to you. That's the person we need to, that's business getting done, damn it. Right there. He didn't give her some dope caffeine-induced Afrocentric lecture. He came with an agenda, hit straight to it. There you go. I want everyone to recognize this. And by the way, it ain't going to be just him. It's not going to be just him. You can do this where you are, by the way. Although I see New York as a special case. And I want you to understand that whether you assume they are receptive or hostile or whatever, that's the whole way it needs to be dealt with the whole time. He very quickly laid out what he was there for, and then get quiet so she can go ahead and talk, because all we're trying to get to is, are you with the business or are you not? Are you with the business or are you not? That's all we need to know. And this is the second or third time in less than 5 minutes, just a couple of minutes. We ain't here to hold a lecture with you all night. That's why the first thing she said is, hey, I've been working on this for a while.
Let me tell you, I've been fighting for black stuff.
I've been fighting for this for a long time. Okay, that's all we need to hear is like, okay, we got something for you. Don't you understand? That makes a lot of folk upset listening to us. It's like, how dare you all be pushing an agenda like this? You're not sitting on YouTube and trying to get Cornel West to show up as if that's going to get anything. What's he been elected to? He hasn't been elected to any damn thing. And the whole thing about it is just like, I'm not going to say too much. I'm not going to say too much because certain strategies need to be held to the vest. But what I will say is that it is important to get folk on the record. That gives you the ability to galvanize either for them or against them. And that's what makes a difference. But please understand, we got folks sitting right here in the room right now. They're hating this kind of thing. They're hoping it doesn't hop off. They're hoping that it fails. They don't want to see us succeed. They don't want to see any progress whatsoever. They want the status quo to continue. They want it to just stay the way it is. Because they're losing. And they don't want the idea that we're going to stop that from happening for everybody, because winning is work. What? Y'all, winning is work. Winning is not easy. Winning is work. Making things happen is work. Nobody wants to be out in the damn cold, freezing temperature, especially in New York. Don't nobody want to be that? And yet there we are. Winning is work. When's election day? A couple years from now? Oh, we'll wait till then. Winning is work. Winning is work. And when you've worked this hard, you damn right, you expect to have something at the end of that. You have a bunch of folks who don't want us to get that, so please understand. They're sitting in here with us right now saying, well, I want black folk to win, but I just don't want y'all winning. I don't want your vision of it. I don't want the responsibility that you are going to impose if you get that. Because, folks, once we clear space, you got to get to work immediately building on it. Once you clear space, you got to get to work immediately. Once you have an opening, you can't sit there and be like, okay, well, when conditions get just right and perfect, then we're going to make some things happen. You don't get to do that. You do not get to do that. I want to make one other thing here very clear to my folk out there and whatnot. To my FBA people there, I want you to understand something. We are going to get the respect that we demand. You sitting up here talking about what can't get done, that nobody respects that. Nobody. You don't get points for trying to convince folk what can't be done. You get points for what does get done. You don't get points for sitting up there bamming away on your cell phone keyboard, talking about your defeatist attitude and how your lack of confidence. That's not the way things get done. You don't get things done by your ability to identify problems. Any jackass, you don't even need eyeballs to identify a problem. You need real work, and real work is the ability to make a solution. We do not need these folk to like us. Too many of you are still looking for that. This is not about whether people like you or not. If you're respected, that's all you really need right there. Once you are respected, okay, they're going to do your bidding. That's all you need. Some folks here are still looking for friends and family and comrades and all this stuff, and they can't figure out how it is that I can move differently than that. I'm not looking for a friend. I'm really not. I'm not looking for a friend. If I were, I'm not going to look to a politician for it. No disrespect. Politicians are not there to be your friends, in case nobody told you. Apparently, some folk didn't understand that. The politician is not there to be your friend. Dr. Claude Anderson taught you politics is quid pro quo, this for that. One hand washes the other. That's the way that works. Having an agenda is how you codify that. But that scares a lot of folk. Your ability to work with everybody. That's the other thing right there. You don't get points for talking about what you can't get done. You get points for talking about what you get done, who you do work with. It has nothing to do with whether or not they like you or whether or not you like them. It has zero to do with that. This is a stumbling block to some folk there because they trying to figure out how they can be, well, I know, I'm going to make sure I like them first before we work together. It's okay. Could you imagine that if you were getting your car, need to get your car fixed on? Let me see if I like the mechanic first. Does he like the Saints? Wait a minute, before I can let you work on my car, I need to know, are you a Cowboys fan? Because I can't rock with you if you ain't Cowboys, man. This is how silly some of this nonsense is. That's immaterial. But it's a new language to folk who have never had to handle empowerment before. So do be aware that even as we have made these steps, there's other folk who are against that. There are other folks who are hoping that it doesn't work, and every word out of their mouth is going to be about what you can't get done. Because they're hoping we don't. Because then when we get something done, we're going to turn around and look for them and say, okay, how much work you done put in? They're scared that that conversation is going to come up. So please understand, we are still working at it. But when I say we, I'm talking about more than just me. We are still working at it. And I don't give a damn come rain, nor shine, nor sleet, nor snow, nor dead of night, nor World War III. We are still going to be at it. So shout out to Sage and everyone else involved there. We got more work ahead of us. We are going to continue getting that done. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the haven of intelligent Black thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, Black Channel Films, you want to go to blackchannelfilms.com. You want to check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to Keith, Ambrosia, Joseph, Snaps, and everybody else. Thank you very much for your support. I told you all that we were going to be active in 2025. I warned you in 2024 that 2025 was going to be different. I warned you that we were going to get active. We're at it now more than ever. We are at it now more than ever. And by the way, maybe tomorrow night, maybe I'll do something a little bit different tomorrow night. I might do something a little bit different tomorrow night just to make sure we get everything on the record. Just to make sure we get everything on the record. Might do things a little bit different tomorrow night. We gonna see. Until then, I want to thank all of you for tuning in tonight's program, live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.